Suggestion that young white people are excluded from jobs, they are also excluded from bursaries and opportunities based on the color of their skin. We must not ignore such concerns because they are being expressed, and we must not just dismiss them willy-nilly. Nor must we just say they don't matter. We must engage with them and we must address them. And as we address them, we should be mindful of this, for the statement that young people, young white South Africans are unfairly disadvantaged by affirmative action bodies. That statement is not borne out by reality. The reality we know does not bear testimony to that. Data from the Statistics South Africa indicates that white young people still do better in development indicators such as education, employment, entrepreneurial opportunities, and well-being. Unemployment among Africans stands at 30% and just under 7% for white people. Big difference. So one can never say the others are much more advantaged than the others. Employment prospects still favor white young people as compared to their black compatriots. And that is dealing with reality, the reality that is born out of evidence. They are still more likely to complete matric and progress to tertiary education than young black children in our country. They are more likely to complete tertiary education and proceed into the labor market with better prospects. White South Africans, particularly men, still dominate at the senior levels of the economy. That cannot be denied, that cannot be disputed ever. Now, a few years ago, it could be about even 10 years ago, there was a front-page article in the Financial Mail which depicted a number of young white business people, and the wording went, yes, like, it's never been as good as it is. Because what it was trying to say is that for white people, much as democracy came and arrived, the situation was still just as good for them. So the notion that, yes, they have reversed cannot be true. In fact, those who have reversed are black people. And we need to keep that in mind as we deal with the problems that beset our country. We have made significant progress since 1994 in addressing these racial disparities, but we clearly still have a long way to go. We have even further to go to address gender disparities in our country. It is therefore critical that we accelerate black economic empowerment, employment equity, and the transformation of our education system. That is what we need to accelerate. We should emphasize that the task of building a united nation that belongs to all South Africans, black and white, does not suggest that we ignore the legacy of our apartheid or colonial past. On the contrary, the creation of a non-racial society requires the liberation of Africans in particular and black people in general from the economic and political bondage that still holds them back. That is our task. Let us remember the contract we all entered into as South Africans when we adopted our constitution. It says, "We, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of our past. We honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land. We respect those who have worked to build and to develop our country and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We therefore, through our freely elected representatives, adopt this Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic so as to, 1, heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights, and also to lay the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by the law. Also to improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential of each person, and also to build a united and democratic South Africa able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. And then this preamble, this beautiful poetic preamble, and ends, may God protect our people. Nkosi sikeleli Africa, Morena, boloka sitjhaba sa Yesu. God sien South Africa, God bless South Africa. Mudzimu kha fatsitshedze Africa Chipembe, hosi katekisa Africa. Now, this commitment we all made must inform the debate we need to have on all fundamental measures that we need to take to redress what went wrong in the past, and the actions we need to undertake to heal the divisions of the past in order to establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Now, you may ask, why am I going through this? I'm going through this because someone referred to the original sin that was committed in this country, the taking of land from the indigenous people of this country was the original sin. It caused divisions, hurt, and pain amongst our people. Now, what we need to do is to be aware of the fact that we are all called upon and enjoined to heal the divisions and the pain of the past. And this is a collective task. It's not a task of the African National Congress alone. It is our task as a nation. It belongs to all of us. Yes, Julius Malema is just as much your task as it is my task. Yes, Musi Maimane is just as your task as it is my task. Everybody, it is your task as well that we should address this issue. Now, what is that task? The return of the land to the people from whom it was taken speaks to precisely what we need to do to heal the divisions of the past. Whether we like it or not, that pain persists. I'll tell you why it persists. This morning as I was walking in Guguletu into Athlone, I meet a gentleman. He's 73 years old, and I ask him, where do you live? He said, I live here in Athlone. I used to live in District 6. And he says to me, I was moved from District 6 with my family, and my house was bulldozed. And to this day, I do not have a house. I rent a house. I lost everything that I had. Now, that is a pain that needs to be addressed. It is a division that we must heal. So therefore, what we need to do, South Africans, fellow South Africans, we need to interrogate the statement that expropriation of land without compensation is incompatible with a growing and flourishing economy. We need to respond to the view that What we propose represents a violation of the spirit and the intent of our democratic constitution. There are a few in our country who would contest this fact, that dispossession of black South Africans of their land contributed fundamentally to the impoverishment and disempowerment of the majority of our people. Very few people will dispute that. Now, Mr. Cedric Alberts, that's his name, was removed from his land in 1969. To this day, he still has that pain in his heart. So what should we do as South Africans? Should we say to Mr. Cedric Alberts, forget it, that belongs to the past. Just forget it. He had a beautiful house, wonderful memories. His dignity was razed to the floor. It was destroyed. What should we say to him? His family story illustrates in vivid terms the pain and the damage caused by the former rulers of this land. The expropriation of land without compensation is envisaged as one of the measures that we will use to accelerate redistribution of land to black South Africans. We will need to determine collectively how we can implement this measure in a way that promotes agricultural production, improves food security, advances rural development, reduce poverty, and strengthen our economy. For it to serve this purpose, we need to see and locate this measure within a broad, comprehensive land redistribution and agricultural development program. This is a profound responsibility that has been given to our generation. All of us collectively have this responsibility, and it's a responsibility that we cannot walk away from. We owe it to our ancestors and to our children to ensure that we fulfill this responsibility. In dealing with this complex matter, we will not make the mistakes that others have made in dealing with the question of land. We will not allow smash and grab interventions. That we will not allow. We will handle this matter in the same way that we have always handled all difficult issues in our country. We will handle it with responsibility. We will handle it in a way that is not going to damage our economy, that is not going to damage agricultural production, that is not going to reduce or damage food security in our country. That we can assure you of. We will always seek to do things that are going to advance the interests of our people. This includes, Honorable Buthelezi, how we will also handle the issue of the Ingonyama Trust. No one is saying that land must be taken away from our people. Rather, it is how we make sure that our people will have equitable access to land and security of tenure. That is how we are going to handle this. We must see this process of accelerated land redistribution as an opportunity rather than as a threat. And I'd like to invite all South Africans not to see this issue, this pain that many of our people are still going through. We should never see it as a threat. We should rather see it as a great opportunity. A number of white South Africans, as it is now, and companies who own land have decided that they are going to grasp the nettle and see this as an opportunity of redressing the past, the injustices of the past, the divisions of the past, so that all of us collectively as South Africans, we can move forward knowing that we have addressed the original sin, we have addressed that which has been dividing us, and that we are moving forward with great purpose as South Africa.